Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of VCTV. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott, and we are going to be talking today about very specific topics around health and wellness. That is clinical trials, health diagnostics, and therapeutics. What is all happening in these spaces and how technology is playing a role in advancing these over the next decade ahead. Remember, we've talked about how 2020 has been such a foundational year for the digitization of so many industries and technologies as they have begun converging at a rapid acceleration. Now, what that means even more is looking at this next decade. This next decade is when a lot of these topics we're talking about will take shape and really start impacting our lives more than we could ever imagine. And so we've brought some of the best and the brightest from around the world to talk just about that today. And again, specifically around health and wellness and some of the areas down below. But before we get started, a big thank you to you, our audience, for tuning in. If you like what you heard, click subscribe. Make sure you tune in every single day and get alerts from us here at VCTV on all the different topics and industries we speak about. And also, if you'd like to be on a show like today, sharing the stage with our outstanding panel, do reach out to the team and or myself. We'd love to find the right industry, topic, or region around the world for you to speak about and entrepreneurs. Same for you. There is a virtual stage here for you to get up on and pitch us as investors, your company, product, or service to get real-time feedback on what you're building, but also build foundational relationships with investors and founders focused on your area and exposure to our live audience. And a big thank you to the LATOKEN team and Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. With that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Let's talk about health and wellness. And with that, I'm joined by two outstanding guests and great friends, thanks to this virtual world that we've been able to connect so many more times than we would have without it. It's an absolute pleasure to see you both. And first off, Anuj, I'm going to let you kick it off. Intro and background. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much, Mike. Always good to be back. So I am Anuj. I'm the founder of LATOKEN. We are a medtech company that's working in personalized care across Southeast Asia and Middle East. Along with it, I invest with iAngels in Israel. I am also a partner at World Business Angel Forum to promote entrepreneurship and global financial inclusivity across the world.
Wonderful. And also joined with us today, one of the grand masters of not just artificial intelligence, but also VCTV here, ladies and gentlemen. We are absolutely lucky enough to be joined by the physical form and not his artificial form of Mr. Gary Fowler. Welcome back to the show. A little intro, a little background for everybody. Oh, you're on mute. Again, a great comment.
Did you ever see The Big Lebowski?
I have.
Did you ever see that? You are the dude.
I did.
You're the dude.
The greatest compliment. I can't.
Dude. I was thinking the Big Kahuna, but you've changed. In a good way. So my name's Gary Fowler. I'm a serial entrepreneur. Great to see Anuj here. I feel like we're part of the family, Anuj. You know that? I see him enough.
Oh, I agree. I see you almost like 2 or 3 times every week. So yeah.
Or you're mentoring, or we're on this, so we see each other. So, and that's the beauty of the digital transformation. You get a chance to be able to see people and talk to people and share ideas. And I get a lot of feedback. Thousands of people that have been able to go down through and connect with us. So this is a great platform. Anyhow, serial entrepreneurs, 16 companies, 2 companies, Click Software, I was on the original team of, so for 1.35 billion, and Evo, which started 4 years ago. It is on unicorn, near unicorn status today. I love AI. I started GSD Venture Studios with my partner, Derek. We are a premier AI venture studio, and we look around the world for incredible companies that want to go global. And it's with a great honor that I'm here today, and it's great to see. I feel like it's a Friday. It's kind of weird. It's a Monday, but I feel like a Friday for some reason, but it feels good.
It's the holiday season. That's what happens. You know, we just came off of Diwali, I believe, right? Diwali's officially finished, Anuj?
Diwali is kind of like it's an extended festival, so we are in post day 2 festivities of Diwali, so it's an extended weekend in India.
All right. So to that point, then, yeah, we're still in the holidays. We're still in the middle of Diwali. And again, congratulations and best wishes, Anuj, and to you, friends and family. And also, we're coming up to Thanksgiving. We got all kinds of holiday times. It always feels like a Friday, but let's talk about health and wellness. Health and wellness, and specifically around clinical trials, diagnostic, and therapeutics. A lot has changed in this. Anuj, I know you speak about this. You've spoken about this around what some of your work in India, but also globally on the stage that you sit on. Tell us what you're seeing in these areas as technology is starting to play a more impactful role of this area starting to advance.
So, health tech, it's a complicated word. Oftentimes, when I talk to a new entrepreneur or someone just entering this field, or anyone who's an IT and engineer, they tend to go crazy about it. There's always that engineering idea that technology will change healthcare. But if you look at the roots of it, if you look at how healthcare started, you'll see it's probably the oldest practice that mankind has been following. Ever since the invention of wheel, what's the next thing that we have always been looking out for? Homo sapiens have been hunters and gatherers. Cavemen used to go out, hunt animals, and they would always try not to get injured because that would mean almost certain death. So for them, the idea always was, hey, probably we found a route that probably once you get injured, helps you heal faster. Or even in India, we have multiple spices that are known to have antibiotic properties. Turmeric, take that as an example. There has been thousands of years worth of history where Indians have been using turmeric as an antibiotic drug, even before the invention of any of the modern medicine. So in its core, healthcare is a very deep topic, a very deep field. Now, when you are talking about a tradition or an education that's enshrined in everything, you gotta understand that it has its own complexities. One of the few things which are now changing around the world, or this last year has changed, is the pace of innovation. Prior to this whole 2020 situation, one thing which healthcare industry has always been hesitant about is adopting technology, be it in clinical trials, be it in diagnostics. That's because when you introduce a new technology, you always got to make sure that it's working, because you're actually working with real humans out there. Anything that you're trying, even if it has a 99.9% success ratio, you still have a 1 in 1,000 chance that something can go wrong. And when human life is involved, that makes it a very difficult situation. So in itself, in its core, you're dealing with something that's highly complicated and something that needs a lot of depth before you can actually give it a seal of approval. But this one year in itself taught us that while we have been preparing ourselves for centuries, we are still not prepared enough. We still don't know a lot of things. We still don't know a lot of virus, and we still don't know what might come up. So one thing which I'm seeing now is people trying different therapeutics. In India in itself, a country which has been known for alternate medicine has now set up a dedicated ministry for healthcare. It's called Ayush, AYUSH. So that includes Ayurveda, Unani, naturopathy, homeopathy. And that's amazing because they are adopting an alternate form of therapeutics. Does it work? Is it effective? I'm no one to comment on that, but it's a step forward. Same goes for clinical trials. Pfizer just told that their vaccine is 90% effective, and we just got a good news today that Moderna is saying their vaccine is 94.5% effective. That's the pace that's practically been unheard of in the industry. There have been n number of papers that gets published every year. We as common people don't pay much attention to it. But for the research, for everyone in academia who is actively reading them, they realize that this is something that we have never seen before, where a novel virus comes in sometime in January or February, and within a year, we are almost prepped up with this vaccine. It's practically unheard of.
Which is a complete game changer too. I mean, you start to throw things in there where we look at the next stage of this, right? And adding even more technology and starting to get into genomics and editing those genomics and or genomes and really starting to play that game as we get more data on how and what that all means. You're absolutely right, Anuj. You've got a very, very interesting path ahead of us as we look to cure some of the most smallest to the largest treatments that we have or issues that we have here. Gary, to you, same question. I mean, what are you seeing in this area? And I want to get to the data side of this as well in a bit, but I want to hear your general thoughts on where all of this is.
Yeah, so I mean, in clinical.
I'm so sorry I'm cutting you before you start. I have a great topic I want you to address.
Sure.
I'm not sure if you heard, there is this new research that came out where AI was being used to analyze cough of COVID patients to identify if they actually have COVID. You're the AI guy, my man. Come on, bring out the big guns.
So that's an MIT study. It's an application on your phone, and they analyzed 200,000 coughs, and the idea with 98.54 or 5% accuracy, and I don't have it in front of me. I'm just remember the article. But I mean, these are the kind of innovations we have. But the thing in news, the beauty of this, because of the training sets. When you have 200,000 people that have done it, it's a training sets. And some people say, well, geez, the AI doesn't work. It doesn't work because your training sets are too narrow. So I mean, these are the kind of beauties of the future. The other thing is, like in drug discovery, talk about clinical trials and drug discovery. I just did an event with the top pharmaceutical companies in Europe. And now think about drug discovery and modeling. How much faster we can actually develop drugs if we don't have to do it on the bench, but we do use the artificial intelligence. And it's coming. I mean, this thing with COVID and the phone, think about it. It's an app that goes on your phone. You download the app, you put it on your phone, and if you cough, hopefully nobody's going to be around you if it puts the sign up. I'm sure you're going to shock some people real quick, but these are the kind of, these are advancements. And think about the clinical trials. What does it do? I mean, if we're trying a drug and we've got the ability to use artificial intelligence, we have enough data, we don't have to use it. At some point in time, we can start using the system, the AI, to figure out whether or not this is something that's going to kill you or not, whether it's something going to make you better or not. But this is where it is today. And look at in terms of, if we look at diagnostics, healthcare diagnostics, I mean, most of us have, Fitbits, but think about the watch capability. Now the Apple Watch, what did they indicated? I just saw an article, somebody that was having a heart attack, it was picked up on the watch, and the person got in early enough to be able to, heart attack the heart was skipping beat. It was fibrillation. I don't know if it went to the heart attack, but it picks it up. The other thing is things like sleep apnea. But these are, the good news is, it's speeding up. It's not getting slower. The ability to be able to diagnose all kinds of things. And I mean, I use all my different tools. But and Kyle, we were talking about the other day. I mean, everything's tied together. So how much you're sitting in your car? Well, okay, you got a problem with your back. I see this thing's up. Everything's going to be able to be monitored. The key is, can we make some amazing decisions because of it? And maybe it's not us anymore. Maybe the situation, the art AI in an unsupervised way is starting to tell us, you need to go to the doctor tomorrow. I think there's a problem.
Well, maybe and maybe it kind of skipped and changed a little bit of a step, because the example you gave, I mean, this is actually what led Microsoft, if I remember correctly, to create one of their initial wearable devices, was solely because of that they were doing internal testing on a few different products. And one of their employees, they were about to shelf it. One of their employees came and said, "Hey, I noticed this what I thought was an error. I tested it, and I ended up going to the doctor because it told me I had a heartbeat skip." And it turns out he did. And it turns out they actually were able to diagnose this small little problem. Now, let's take that on a bigger scale. It's a little bit different for everybody. Nonetheless, the point is that devices that we had considered just wearable devices in the past are now becoming more crucial to our future health. And to Gary's point, AI, instead of us being like, oh, my heart skipped, instead we have artificial intelligence thanks to the data that can tell us that we should go do something. This is considered actionable insights, something we've dreamt of in the wearable space, but now is finally here. And Gary, I mean, where does this go from here when it comes to actionable insights? Is this real? Can we actually get to a point where my devices, all of our devices, connect, talk to each other, and really tell us what to go do, and are in it, say, in a 99.7% accuracy?
Well, I mean, think about it. So where we are, we went from monitoring to now starting to make some decisions and give us some insights. But then the situation is to take action, right? And tell us what we need to do. And then, you know, when we take action, imagine the devices, you know, so you got a device that's on your wrist, you got an Apple Watch that's tied into your scale. The scale is tied into your refrigerator. The refrigerator's got products in it that can lock or not lock to let you in. You know, your car could be set up to not drive to a specific place. I mean, there's a lot that is going to start happening, right, where things are tied together. So this is just the dawn of it, but in a grander scale, I mean, everything's going to be connected together. So, hey, listen, you don't want to get stressed, or you need to do a lot more exercise. You know, your bike's out in the garage, ready to go. It's turned on, your electric bike, it's ready to go. You know, your friend's electric bike is turned on and we just beat them to let him know, or her, to meet you. It's just, the entire world shifted in a very positive way. And we ought to get, because things are going to start making decisions for us. It won't be us anymore. You understand, we're moving in that direction where this unsupervised AI is going to start, you know, making those critical decisions for us. You know, it's instead of, you know, let's call the doctor comes up, you're on your notebook, and all of a sudden the doctor's been alerted and the doctor's on, said, listen, I need to take some vital statistics and cancels the rest of your calls. Sit down here, let's talk. But those are the kind of things, you know, the beauty of it, you know, that's, we're now being, you know, on one side with all this pandemic, and who knows, you know, could be a year and a half, 2 more years going through this. But as we're going down through it, the thing is, what's happened is this digital transformation has really sped up the amount of integration of all the data from all different sources and really leveled it out. The beauty is, you know, we now are more attuned with it. The bad news, and we're home, right? For the most part, we're at the house, we're not in an office, and we get a chance to really feel it, be enchanted by it. But yeah, no, this is a preview, and it's not far out, 3 to 5 years. I mean, it's coming it's a tsunami, but it's already, you know, when these things happen, when all these changes take place, they start to creep in and you don't understand it until we're already enveloped in it.
It's very true. And news to you, anything else to add on that? I mean, what does this look like as we start to move forward?
So I'm going to move slightly towards the diagnostic sides of things now.
Please.
When you go onto a hospital, talking about Southeast Asia, so China, India, Singapore, Malaysia, Middle East, and Africa for that moment, we are in a situation where per capita doctor is really less than what it's supposed to be. So when you talk about OPD hours in hospitals, they usually start at somewhere around 8:30 or 9 and goes on until 3, 4, probably 5. And one doctor in that time goes through anywhere between 100 to 200 patients. That's around 25 patients an hour. That's a pace that's crazy. It's insane. And that's where the diagnostic sides of things really become important, because when a doctor's going in, they have to take the patient's vitals. So they got to make sure that they are checking their blood pressure. And time is of the essence here. When you are already cycling through so many patients, you really got to move. You really want to move as fast as possible. And that's where I'll call back to my initial point again, that as engineers, we tend to get lost in our mind thinking about the technology that we need. We think that, oh, maybe if I develop an app that can digitize the records, that can just have the doctor take their notes on an iPad and move on to the next patient. Well, you got to realize writing is faster than typing. I was being groomed for medicine when I was in high school, and I know how much you have to write. And again, when you're cycling through one patient every 2 minutes, you really want to make your notes as fast as possible. So the focus or the idea for new entrepreneurs, where they were thinking about focusing the doctor and not caring enough about the patient all the time, is where things are changing now. There are a lot of remote diagnostics that are happening right now. Blood pressures can be taken in over a single machine that updates everything via Bluetooth. Uh, for type 1 diabetics, new sensors are coming in, and that can monitor their blood sugar every 10 minutes and chart it on a graph so they know constantly how things are going. Same goes for asthma patient. They can monitor everything, and as soon as they see something changing, they can make sure that their oximeters know how much oxygen are they taking in. So things are changing in that direction, and it's only a matter of time when you're going to have new diagnostic tools, not in terms of going deep into cancer care diagnostics. That's obviously going to take time. Like I said, you really want to make sure that you're checking every box, you're doing your due diligence completely before you sign an approval on it. But for primary diagnostics, things are going to change. For oximeters, we have never really paid attention to it, but this last year they have just come into limelight, and I see multiple apps that are actually using that technology on a smartphone. So when you're trying to check your oxygen level, rather than having an oximeter, your phone switch on its flash, and you can use the phone camera to monitor your blood oxygen. Is it accurate? I don't know. Are people using it? Definitely. I see it downloaded in a lot of places. I see some doctors even using it because it at least gives them an initial idea of where things stand with them. In the absence of an oximeter, it becomes practically a lifesaver for them. So that's one more avenue where things are changing. Primary diagnostic is really going to be something that's going to be the forefront in the coming years.
And with that, to both of you, as we're coming close to the top of the hour, what's missing? What's missing or what's needed when we look at the future of diagnostics, therapeutics, and just clinical trials? But again, health and wellness in general, what's missing? And Gary, let's come to you. What's missing in these areas that we need or should be focusing on as we look to the next 10 years?
Well, I mean, so we look at things like telemedicine. We understand now through this crisis. I mean, it used to be before the crisis, it was really hard to get doctors to do anything over the phone or on a Zoom. But now it's, it was hard, but now it's a lot easier. Then the situation is, look at the Internet of medical things, right? The opportunity there. So all these devices, whether it's the use of wearables, EKG, ECG, but connecting them together, as I said earlier. The other thing is cloud computing. I mean, you don't hear about cloud computing in healthcare. Why not have a doctor's office? Think all the Bluetooth capabilities within an office. I have a friend of mine. He's a dermatologist and a plastic surgeon, and we were talking about, why aren't things more connected in his office? Why can't we connect them? The AR, VR, MR, from that perspective, we're on the dawn. And chatbots. Think about it. I got a basic problem. Why not a chatbot as part of the first part of the line of defense? I got a challenge. Okay, I'll route this to this kind of a doctor so that I can have a specialist opinion. Answer a lot of the stuff that come in, which are mundane calls, with a chatbot. So these are the kind of, if we're looking at it, we're going to be, now that we are more comfortable in being digitally transformed, these trends are going to start to pick up speed. And they're going to pick up speed. It's amazing. I've seen a lot of trends take place, Kyle. I saw the e-commerce trend. I was involved in some of the initial personal computers that had been developed. I had seen that trend really skyrocket a long time ago. When I was young. Mm-hmm. I saw it take place. I mean, and we're dawn. The difference is it's connecting everything. I'll never forget. I had drinks over in Russia with Vinton Cerf, one of the co-founder of the internet. and also out in California. And we were just talking about it, and I said, did you imagine that this would take place? And I remember in 1993, I was doing a project with Sun Microsystems, and I had reams of data, and those were the websites. You didn't have the browsers, right? So I had green paper. It was crazy, right, to find stuff. So look how far we've come, but it's all about connecting things together. And now it's about making decisions based on those connections. Everything we have, literally, for the most part, will be connected together. You're going to play tennis. Your tennis racket will have devices on it. Say, listen, you need to turn it. You need to move in this direction. You need to move more. We're going to have, it's like being extraordinarily coached, but our whole lives will be like that. What it does is it's going to make us a whole lot more efficient and able to do things we really want to do. And it's happening soon. That's what's going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years.
Anush, thank you. Thank you, Gary. Anush.
So I think I agree with everything Gary said, and that's the reason why we actually started to drink all those things. One thing which I've said over the last 1 year that's missing in while we do talk about personalized medicine, where you're going to be using genomics to find the right drug for every user, and an equally important thing is personalized care, because that will work for very specialized condition. That's going to work for conditions like cancer or Down syndrome, where you're actually working at a molecular level. But for most of the other conditions, you are going to be in a situation where you're going to be working at improving life in a way that's right for them, rather than a one-size-fits-all model. Finding a doctor that's right for the condition rather than itself is a highly specialized field. There's always that further specialization that goes down the cycle. If you take the example of cancer, someone who's diagnosed will need an oncologist, but there are 18 different types of cancer. So someone who has colon cancer needs a specialist that has expertise in colon cancer. An oncologist is definitely a specialist, but they're not the subject matter expert on that. A live case example will be from a user that we encountered. The gentleman was diagnosed with colon cancer. An oncologist referred them to a procedure called as hemocolectomy. They needed 2 surgeries. The recovery time was somewhere around 6 months. We were able to find the right doctor for them. The doctor had expertise in colon cancer, had written almost 100 papers just on colon cancer, and was studying it for the last 20 years. So however, there's a new procedure that's coming up. And since you are not a high-risk patient, you don't have obesity, you don't have any comorbidities, you might be right for it. Result, they were suggested a different procedure, which was something that wasn't really quite prominent by that time. Surgery required went from 2 to 1. Recovery period went down from 6 months to 1 month. And that's where personalized care comes into the picture. A bot is a very primitive solution that you can use in hospitals. Gary mentioned about it. So going into a hospital, a bot that can address your issue, take your basic diagnostics, and then tell you where you can see the doctor. But what the industry needs is a conversation engine that we are developing at Totem. So when you go online or when you're conversing with the engine, it acts like an Alexa. It identifies your symptoms and finds the right solution, or once you have a diagnostic, finds the right doctor for you to get a second opinion, and then takes you to them. That's where one of the future things are going. And like Gary said, another great point, storing all the data in cloud, healthcare management over cloud, it's long overdue. Why are we still carrying a lot of papers? Why do chronic patients still have that huge file of medical records? It doesn't make sense. Even if you're going in for an MRI, why do you have to carry your films everywhere? We have our own picture archival system where even if you go for an MRI or CAT scan, you can get to cloud whenever you want it. Just send in a text, it gets delivered right to your phone, can be viewed on a system. So there's that 3D rendered model that's already coming up. Why switch to that old way? So that's where things are going to head. A very personalized care, a very to the point, to the condition kind of a scenario is where things are going to be.
The digitization of everything, and with exactly what you're mentioning, there's the things that are still behind on that digitization, Anuj, but absolutely phenomenal point. Guys, I want to come to both of you for closing thoughts, and of course, where can everyone find you online to continue the conversations? We're getting close to the top of the hour, but Anuj, you bring up some outstanding points around this lack of digitization around medical records and paperwork in general around the entire healthcare system, and hopefully we'll see that as a global shift in the next 10 years, because it's going to be a forced thing, as some of the things that Gary mentioned as well coming into our lives. Gary, closing thoughts as to where you see the future of these industries really going, and what technologies may play a role that people are not thinking about today. And then, of course, where can everyone find you online?
I mean, I talked about drug discovery. I mean, we all were wearing, drug discovery. They talked about AI and modeling. Why not? Why use a bench time? So then about clinical trials again, and having to use a system, be able to go down through and understand what kind of potential detrimental effects or positive results could be. So it's the dawn of a new age. It's about the data, where we're looking at about wearable devices tied in. They've gone from a fad, right? From the Pebble watches to the situation where they're making some radical decisions for us and helping us live our lives longer. So you can reach me, Gary Fowler, LinkedIn. You can reach me on Facebook, Gary@gsdvs.com, GSD, Get Shit Done Venture Studios. So reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you, and check my shows out. Thanks, Kyle.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gary. Anuj, to you. Closing thoughts again. Where are those technologies missing or lacking as things go here in the next 10 years? And of course, where can everyone find you online?
So, closing thoughts. I think we're going to need more brilliant people like Gary. Something to get him excited as well. He's probably going to be.
Anuj, it's you guys, not me. It's you guys. I'm just a country boy from Pennsylvania.
No, trust me. What I'm about to tell you will actually make you really excited. So, Indian government announced that they are going to create a digital health card for every Indian. That's 1.3 billion people setting up their digital health card where they can store their records at a centralized level. So that's going to be at the country level. You're talking about a massive set of data, and we're going to need AI. People like AI, like Gary, who can come up and actually make sense of that data, because right now, a very common problem that comes up when I talk to other medtech companies is they don't know what to do with the data they have. They have humongous volumes of it, OCR records, blood reports, but they don't know how to make sense of it. And that's where amazing people like Gary are going to come in and help them figure out what they can do about it. Digitization in healthcare, where everything can be centralized, accessed everywhere, a repository where not only people with uncommon conditions can find the right clinical trials for them, because right now clinical trial works in a very complicated way. When you go to a hospital, there's always that bulletin board on every doctor where someone in their department who's researching on a condition mentions that, hey, if a patient comes in this age group with this condition and has these parameters checked in, please refer them to me for my trial. That's going to change. You are going to see clinical trials happening at a national level. Someone living in one part of India can access it on the other side. And it's going to be a game changer. 1.3 billion people keeping their records. It's going to be a massive data set, which will need a lot of creative minds, a lot of genius minds to come in and make sense of. With that being said, you can find me up on Atutum. That's ATUTUM. So anuj@atutum.com. My name is right here. So reach out to me, drop me an email. Would love to hear from you. And if you're someone in healthcare, come join us. Would love to change the industry with you.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much for sharing your thoughts and insights. To our audience, definitely reach out to both Anuj and Gary. They'd love to have a continuing conversation with you around today's topic and others as well. They're both very open on social media, so definitely reach out. And a big thank you to you for tuning in as well, our audience. If you like what you heard, click subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Do reach out if you'd like to be on a show like today, joining Anuj and Gary around today's topic or a number of other topics. Industries or regions around the world, and entrepreneurs do reach out as well if you'd like to be on a show to pitch us your company, product, or service to get real-time feedback from us as investors and founders focused on your area, along with building foundational relationships with us here in our digital environment and get exposure to our great, exciting live audience. And a big thank you to the LATOKEN team and Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. You can find me everywhere online 24/7, 365 at Kyle Ellicott on all social medias. Definitely reach out again to Anuj and Gary and myself if you'd like to continue the conversation, and to Maria and the LATOKEN team if you'd like to be on the show. With that, I'm your host. We'll be back here tomorrow with more VCTV. Everybody have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.